So, I got a bunch of hair on this. So today, I'm filming one of my buddies. His name's Phil. Say what's up, Phil.
What's up, Phil?
He skates, so I figured I'd do like a little tutorial on like your settings and what you should be doing when you go to film somebody that's on like live action stuff. Right now I'm getting everything set up. We're supposed to be hitting this rail, but I don't know if we're gonna be able to do it because that car right next to it. It's all up to Phil. What do you want to do?
I'm thinking WK.
Okay. So I'm not gonna put this together yet. So this is the camera I'm going to be shooting on. This is my A7 III and my 1.4 35 millimeter. I feel like it's wide enough. Typically you would want to do something a little bit wider, that way you can get a little bit closer and whatnot, but 35 has been working fine for me. I've got a couple clips with him, but yeah, let's move on to the next spot. Alright, now to get everything set up, it's going to go from this to this. So I got everything set up. I got my gimbal, I got my A7 III, my 35 millimeter G Master, and my Atomos Ninja monitor hooked up. All right, so first thing you want to do is get your settings dialed in. Now, what I did, since he's going to be moving quite a bit, obviously you see him rolling by. If you do just like a normal 1/50, 1/60, whatever, for shutter speed and 24 frames per second, you're gonna get that blur and he's gonna be going by way too fast. So what we're gonna do is I set mine to 60 frames per second. I put my shutter speed at 1/125th. For my aperture, I usually use that and just make it as wide as possible. Once it's as wide as, I wouldn't say as wide as possible for your scene. So like, you know, your highlights and stuff like that, make sure everything's balanced. Once that's in, I kind of get a little bit of distance from him and set my manual focus up. So I'm gonna do that right now. So now that I got my focus set, we're gonna go ahead and get started. One thing I recommend is get creative with your shots. Do some panning, do some running, do some walking, I mean, just anything. And you're gonna want different angles. So sometimes you might have to have them like repeat the trick if it's something simple. If not, what you can also do is bring a couple cameras and, you know, set up like this. Don't forget to stay hydrated. Sometimes some of these tricks do call for like static shots. So with that, I recommend like a tripod. As you can see how fast he was moving, and I got you guys on 24 frames at 50. That's why I recommend shooting, you know, something different. But let me go ahead and start filming. All right, here we go. First shot of the day. It's gonna be in the... Take things out of your pockets too, because you'll hear them clank around. Alright, while he's waxing the ledge, I figure I explain a couple things. So, first one is going to be frame rate. So, frame rate, the reason why I'm doing 60 frames is because, as you can tell, when he glides by on this, I'll put the two side-by-side comparisons, one from here, one from there. This one, you're getting more motion blur, and sometimes he's moving fast, sometimes he's not, but most of the time with action stuff, they're gonna be moving pretty fast. So you're gonna wanna be able to catch a little bit more, and also if you wanna do speed ramps or slow down your footage. Now, with that, you obviously double your shutter speed, so I'm at 1/125th right now, and that's gonna capture more. So that's why you shoot at a higher frame rate. be mindful of other people. So next thing on the list is the aperture. Aperture right now is set at f9. The reason for that is because I shoot this in manual focus, and the reason for that is because obviously if he's moving around quite a bit, like, come by me real quick. I'm hoping it'll do it, I can't really tell, but hopefully it jumped to him for focus. If you're doing that in, you know, action sports, then obviously your focus is going to be jumping like crazy. So I shoot in manual focus, and in order to keep focus on your subject, you need to have a wider aperture. So that's why it's at f9 right now. Obviously it's getting later, so sun's coming down, and I gotta have it open just a little bit. Basically, I got point of view mode. Pretty much try to get basically your legs the whole time. Okay. So obviously another tip, probably goes without saying, but as the sun is going down, you're going to want to open up your aperture a little bit more. That way you're not losing light or anything. You could bump up your ISO, but I like to keep my ISO at 100 at as much as I can. Be patient with your talent too, because they're human too. They need water and stuff like that. It's hot today. So that's pretty much it. I mean, you just gotta kind of experiment, but for sure, my recommendations anyway are gonna be 60 frames per second, 1/125th for shutter speed, and then aperture as wide as you can with manual focus, and you should be all right. Especially in post if you plan on like slowing it down or doing speed ramps or anything like that. But most of all, it's not gonna be as blurry. Until next time, like, share, subscribe, all that. And if you have any questions, write down in the comments. Peace.